I made a motion to
I
instruct...
second it.
Excuse me?
I second it. So
Yes,
this is why
to
you can
instruct Mary Ellen to start verifying the signatures.
Right. Okay. No
Now,
other.
when do we discuss the procedure for the challenge?
We
Is
didn't
this the
vote
part of
yet.
this motion?
We didn't
Yes,
vote
well,
yet.
We have to
Slava.
vote on your motion first.
Let's vote on your
Okay.
motion. Subject, perhaps you want to add subject to
Yes, subject
procedures
to
and
a
conditions.
simple procedure for unit owners to challenge any signatures which are not accepted by us.
And let's perhaps put a date by which we want to have the results.
That's a different issue entirely. The motion is as the motion
Okay,
is.
we'll deal with that next. So subject to some conditions that we will discuss afterwards. All in favor, is the motion clear?
I'm for.
All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Anybody opposed? Mr. Brightman? Any abstentions?
See, now, we don't have the other two directors to be able to cast their vote in this, and I don't think this is fair.
What is the, what's the call of the vote on this? Because we could always redo the vote. We can always repeal this decision if it's,
Okay, we
what
have
was the number?
1,
We
2,
have
3,
Five?
4, 5,
Five in
6.
favor?
6.
6 in favor,
Six.
1 opposed. Then it cannot, the decision would not be altered with new directors, additional directors here. And I think,
Yeah,
I'll
I
just
agree.
say from my standpoint, even though I oppose the motion, I think we should move forward.
Okay,
Yes.
Stephen, you are the longest talker about conditions. You want to discuss
I'll
the
take that as a
conditions?
compliment.
It is, because you were clear and precise. But maybe you can make it shorter.
You should live so long.
This time.
There is simply the matter of providing direction to Mary Ellen as to what the review is to entail and what are the standards to be used in conducting this review. I don't know if there's an interest in going through sequentially each of the points that our council has provided on these questions, or whether you simply want us to discuss those
I'd like-
issues that we think are of substance.
I'd like you to bring up the issues that we thought were of substance. That you
The
thought were of
first one that I
substance.
will bring up is the question of what does it mean as 25% of what? I raise that in the following vein, that it is true that the bylaws say, and I don't have it in front of me exactly, but the words are that it must be 25%, at least 25% of members entitled to vote at the meeting. So I think that there's a discussion as to whether that means that those who are in arrears would not be eligible for signing the petition. It would also mean that those who, that as of a certain date, and there was a discussion as to we need to determine a date, and most importantly, I will add to this, that others have not, is that if that means that we are to consider invalid any signatures of those in arrears, then we must take from the 1076 denominator, the 25% of which, you have to subtract from that all of the apartments that are in arrears, not just those that would have signed, but all of the apartments in arrears, since none of them would be entitled to vote at the meeting, and take the 25% of that reduced number. You must also reduce out of that number all units owned by GTCA, since no GTCA unit is entitled to vote at that meeting either.
Steven, are you making a motion right now?
No, I am suggesting a discussion here
It's
as
less
to
than
guidelines
20.
until, because the chair asked me to provide my thoughts on that, and
Okay.
Let's
he
treat
did
this as
indicate
a-
I have ample
Let's
thoughts.
just treat this as a list of conditions to be
Yes.
incorporated into the motion, into
Exactly,
instructions to
into an
Mary Ellen.
omnibus motion.
So, as I read that section 3 of the special meetings of the bylaws, I would agree with your interpretation. 25% of all votes entitled to be cast at such meetings. I don't know
So
if
you
it's
need to
come up
reduce the
before.
1076 by all units in arrears. We'll need to decide what date the arrearage is as of, the record date, and we need also to reduce it by the number of units owned by the GTCA.
Right. What we
And
Good
discussed-
point.
I think it would be good to have a report from Mary Ellen as to what that number is.
I think that should be included.
But
in the
Stephen, can we
report,
set the
yes.
date of this date? Can you make a motion? Can I make a motion to count the day of the surrender of the petition as the day of the petition?
We
think
discussed
Sure.
that before, and that's a valid motion.
I
As
think
of the
that's very
25th of
reasonable.
July, the 6th,
25th
as
of-
of,
Are you
Since,
moving that?
let me say, since petition doesn't have any dates and the signatures are not dated, and I did not see the petition, this is what Mr. Bakalu suggested, I make a motion to consider the day of the surrender of the presentation of the petition to the board by Mr. Blum. I believe it was 25th of last month.
Yes.
I
Yes.
second the motion.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
I second the motion.
we've discussed that before. Any other issues?
no,
All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, unanimous.
none.
Are we to make this count for each director being asked to leave, or as a group?
That question is
That's
one to be raised. Do you
later.
want to raise that formally? What the, I mean, you may want to explain what that question is.
Well, no, I was just basically talking about the count.
Can I clarify something on the date
Yes.
as well? Is the date, they have to be homeowners as of July 25th, and if they are not members of in good standing as of July 25th, does that date go for both?
That's the way I would
Yes.
interpret the motion.
Okay.
Yes,
Lisa, a question to your comment. What is the difference between 1, 2, or 3, or 4 directors if you start counting? Where do you see the difference could be?
We're not talking about the vote at the special meeting.
oh, this is not about the
That
special
is the
meeting.
petition.
No, I
Slava,
understand. Lisa raised the question if we're going
Petition
to count
being
it
geared
for
to
each
the
director separately.
individuals, or
How would
You're
this
talking
make a
about the
difference if we
volunteer.
count for Director A or Director B or Director C?
No, you
Because
cannot do that.
Can I ask you to
She's-
clarify the question, Lisa?
Yeah,
you do it, you can
okay. Slava, just, it was what we brought up in closed session regarding the fact that, one of the directors was a Tower 2 director, was not a
At large.
at-large
Okay, I
director.
understand. I understand.
That's what's the question is
I'd
related
like to make a motion to consider all directors equal for the purpose of this petition, all the named directors in this petition, regardless of the district.
Could I offer a suggestion to clarify that motion? May I?
Please, Stephen.
If perhaps you were saying that you believe that the standard is that 25% of the total membership that's eligible to vote, as we just defined it, has to be signed to the petition with regard to each of the directors, and it's irrespective of whether the unit owner signing is from a particular district or not.
That's what I'm
So
talking
it's
about.
25% of the entire number, and it is assumed, well, actually, you have to probably treat separately the question. Every signature on there is for all four, is regards to all four directors. That's a separate question, but assuming that it is, then that answers your question.
Well, but I'm not sure I agree with that.
But
If it
let's
were the
discuss
case.
it. I made a motion. You corrected my motion, so let's see if anybody
And
will second it.
I second the
Okay,
motion.
We're discussing it, Slava.
Yeah, I second the motion, no, we were clarifying, and I second the motion.
Stephanie, did you have any
Well,
other?
I actually had a question for Bob. Legally, what do you think the standing is there regarding the bylaws? And
Whether it should be Tower 2 only,
For
For purposes of the petition.
Yeah, for
district.
purposes
for,
of the
for
power
the
district,
purpose of the
district.
petition. Should
And
it
I-
be only Tower 2 petitioners counting towards the 25%
Steve, I know
for
you-
the
you
Tower 2
stated
director that's being asked to leave?
You stated
An
your opinion,
argument-
and what it is.
No,
Please.
an argument can be made that, and it's an argument based on logic, that it requires the 25% of the eligible voters from a district to call for the recall of a director from that district. And the argument is that the other districts shouldn't be able to determine through a recall and then reappointment or filling the vacancy process who the director is going to be from that district. It's an argument based on logic. Some people may not think that's logic, but it would be to the director that was affected, I would think. Is there any support for that in the bylaws? No. Is there anything that argues against that in the bylaws? That's going to be a matter of opinion and your own reading of the bylaws. Is there anything in the bylaws that says clearly that argument isn't applicable.